What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Kenny Parker Show. We do this every Tuesday and Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Big up to the early regulars, the ER crew. Spook Round 4Q, you are first in the building again today. Uh, PSA, let's go. Uh, Rule number one, get the book. My brother's name is Kenny. The link is in the description below. Get the book. It's the true origin story of BDP, and many of the questions that a lot of you new people to the channel ask me is either in the book or on this channel if you look at the videos. Um, get the book. The link is in the description below. Rule number two, hit the like button. I'm just going to say it quick. I'm going to stop harping on it. I'm just going to say from time to time, just hit the like button. I'm not even going to bring it up anymore. Rule number three, big up to the Rewind crew who's going to check this out later on. And if you don't have a shirt, get the shirt. It's the same as the logo. And the shirts are selling pretty well. I'm happy. Thank you for everyone who has already gotten a shirt. You are extra part of the family. I might have to call you guys the T-shirt crew. Big up to the T-shirt crew who already has a shirt. I have it on now. I'm going to be wearing it. Can't really see all of it, but I'm going to be wearing it for the foreseeable future. All right, let me make this a little bit bigger so I can see B-Boy Jones, and you always come in at 2. You almost always get to 1, but you miss out. Rod Justice, what up? Um, yes, Rosmel says, what up, fam? R.I.P. to Michael Wright, a.k.a. Eddie King Jr. Some days I wish the rain would fall. Dope actor from the I would say what, early 2000s. He has was in some big movies. I actually met him once. His family owned this place called Piece of Chicken in Manhattan. I think it was on like 40 something and 8th. It was like near Broadway. And it was like a small little place, like almost like a small hole in the wall that sold chicken and like macaroni and cheese and cornbread and rice for like $1. And the line used to be down the block. And back when I still ate chicken, so this had to be like 2 decades ago, I went there and he was there, right there with, I believe I don't know if it's his mother or somebody who was serving the food, but he was right there. And I remember I came up to the counter and he was like, well, you're a big guy. We got to give you extra food. I laughed. But he was right there. I'm like, oh, shoot, look at Eddie Kane. And he also, I forgot the movie he was in, Sugar Hill. I liked him in Sugar Hill, too. But yes, Michael Wright has passed this week. I saw him on the train once, too, just riding on the subway. But rest in peace to him and condolences to his family. It's kind of a sad day for me because one of my all-time favorites passed as well. B-Boy Jones is R.I.P. Dolly Parton. I'm going to talk about her in a second. Let me get some shouts in. Gregory Nettis, what up? Um, this really captures my whole sentiment about Dolly. I didn't know much about country music, but I know who Dolly was. And I think I would have liked to have met her. She's in my probably top 5 people I would have loved to have met all time. Um, Let me scroll down a little bit. I'm gonna get to this in a minute. Kenneth Smith, what up? Reggie 2023, what up? Headed towards Wicked. Wickensburg, Arizona. Big up out there in the desert. Stay hydrated. Isaiah Winburn. KP, a couple of years ago, I found out that they had mobile DJ crews from Brooklyn and Queens. Watch the documentary, Founding Fathers, The Untold Story, Hip Hop. It's a documentary from 2009. Yeah, I speak in my book. The link is in the description below. About a mobile crew, the first DJ crew that I ever saw in Brooklyn, in Crown Heights. Me and my brother, we were young guys, went to see this DJ crew called the Sound Masters Crew. They don't get mentioned much, but they were going around to different places, especially in our neighborhood, and playing hip hop, and they were dope. So yes, I definitely need to check that out, Isaiah. Um, hey Tracy, Beyond the Matrix, what's up? True Stories, what's up, Kenny? H-Town in the building. Shout out to H-Town. Beyond the Matrix, what up? Sydney Rhodes, what up? Henry Sedillo, what up? A lot of regulars here today. MMA Crossfire, what up? 716 Deuce. 716 Deuce. Salutations. JT, what up? DJ Q Storm. Got my shirt yesterday. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. No, thank you, Q Storm. For the t-shirt crew. Mark Thompson, what up? Broken Wookiees, what up? Of course, my girl. China Doll, what up, Scent? Jack Swagger, what up? Derek Mallory, Minneapolis. I was watching something the other day about how much, what's my man from the time, Morris Day and Prince used to bump heads. Prince was not an easy person to work with, apparently. My all-time favorite artist. But Bobby W, what up? Derek Mallory, what up? Everybody's here today. Patrick Y, the Imperial J, the MC, T. Dyson. B-Bo Jones says, I bet a piece of chicken was slapping. It was crazy slapping for $1. This is in like early 2000s. And then the price went up. It was something like $1 for a piece of chicken, $1 for some corn, 50 cents for cornbread, like $1 for rice, $1 for macaroni and cheese. You can get like a whole meal for like $3, $3.50. And then they raised the price of the chicken to $2, which is still a steal. But things were never the same once the price went from $1 to $2. And eventually the store closed. I don't know if it was because of that, but they should have kept it at $1. Rest in peace, Michael Wright. Ansel and Candy, what up? Patrick Watson's first saw Michael Wright in The Wanderers. I didn't see that. Classic Bronx gang movie. Leave the kid alone. All right. I'm going to do this right here. R.I.P. Dolly Parton. You know, the comment was made that I've never followed country music ever in my life. It's just not something I grew up with. And in the neighborhood that I grew up with, it was just not on our radar. And yet, Dolly Parton was a household name my whole life. And you know, guys, you know on this channel, I do not like to use the word icon that much. I think that word is thrown around too much, and there's not that many icons. But today is the passing of an iconic, international, much beloved, maybe one of the most beloved artist ever, true timeless superstar in Dolly Parton, and a true humanitarian. And she spent the majority of her life donating hundreds of millions to charity, to literacy, to helping the poor, helping the hungry, to putting her name behind causes. She had her whole Dollywood amusement park. These are things I know off the top of my head. I didn't even look at Wikipedia. These are things I know, and I don't even follow country music. Some of the biggest country songs that not that many country songs really crossed over into pop culture, but she had a few of them. Um, and she was also an accomplished actress, and she was a staple on all the talk shows, and everyone loved Dolly Parton. And she was so genuine and such a great lady. I saw 3 6 Mafia. I'm gonna tie it into hip hop. I saw 3 6 Mafia wrote that they beat out Dolly Parton for the Oscar for Best Original Song. I believe their song was It's Hard for a Pimp. I forgot whatever that song is called. It's Hard Out Here for a Pimp. Beat out Dolly Parton. And Dolly Parton sent them a congratulations note saying, "Congratulations for winning. And I'm glad you kept the award in Tennessee," she said to them. What a gracious thing to say to some people you never met. And also, Eminem posted today about how Dolly Parton wrote him a very heartfelt letter when he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. These are people she don't even know, but her heart was tremendous and she was beloved. And she's one of the few artists in history that wrote her own songs. She owned the publishing and songwriting credits to many of her classic records, probably all of them. And because she owned the writing credits to her music, when Kevin Costner suggested to Whitney Houston that she cover the Dolly Parton song, which Whitney had never heard, and Whitney covered that song for the Bodyguard soundtrack. And I believe the Bodyguard soundtrack became one of the biggest selling soundtracks of all time. And because Dolly owned her publishing rights, she retained the money for Whitney singing her song, and she made millions and millions of dollars. Um, and that's probably one of Whitney's signature songs. I know "I Want to Dance with Somebody." Surprisingly, to me, was voted. I saw, you guys, I don't really care about charts, but and countdowns and stuff, but it was voted the number one pop song of all time. "I Want to Dance with Somebody," which I don't know what metric they use, but there could be an argument for that based on the 40 years since it's been out. Um, so that is Whitney Houston's signature song. But I would say outside of that song, her second signature song would be "I Always Love You," written by Dolly Parton. Um, I was very, very, very sad to see that she was only 80 years old. Um, and her husband passed last year, and they were saying she wasn't in good health, but she will never be forgotten for all the work that she did outside of the entertainment industry. But she was one of the people who just about everyone had something nice to say about her in real life. So shout out to Dolly Parton, rest in peace, and condolences to her family. She was a giant, a real giant, not manufactured, not with the machine behind you, but a real giant. Um, Cutie Pie, what's up? Uh, Master P sparked public debate after stating in Forbes interview that Black Americans should stop going back to and harping on slavery, arguing instead for the focus on economic empowerment. I could see his argument in some ways. Um, at some point, we have to focus on the future and how to use our billions and billions of dollars and our voting strength to make change for us in this country. But at the same time, I could see the argument for the effects of slavery on the Black American is still being felt to this day. And racism is the number one plague in this country and around the world. And so you can't say stop harping on it when you are experiencing it, the effects of it every single day. Um, so I could see an argument for both. I personally, and this is a cop out answer, but I personally think we should do both. Focus on economic empowerment and never forget what we went through as a people and continue to feel the pain of. Uh, Norman Radio, what up? Toronto checking in. Uh, I got a Chizat. Hold on a second. Love the Chizats. Icon Poet, thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. Okay, Peter, did you hear about the Niners owner being caught in a prostitution sting in a trailer park for $140? These are the elites. No, I did not hear that. If that's true, we can't fact check it, but everyone has their own preferences, and everyone comes from somewhere. And no matter how rich he got, $140 lady of the night from a trailer park might be what he was into. And what you're into is what you're into. He could probably afford hundreds of them, but he had to go to the source. Who knows? These are the elites. I don't consider these people elites. You're right, question mark. I consider these people who have did good, people who have figured out capitalism and were able to make a lot of money. That doesn't make you elite. Just because you are able to make a lot of money doesn't make you elite. A lot of times it makes you a criminal. If we found out just how you made your fortune, many of these people are really criminals to the core. Not saying that he is, but just because you have money and can own a football team, I don't consider these people elites. You know who's elite? Someone who takes that money and helps the hungry. That's elite. Dolly Parton. Um, Gregory and Master is a bozo the clown for bringing up slavery like black people should forget about it. Then he got backlash and didn't get better, and it didn't get better for him. I mean, I, I'm not going to call him a bozo. I think people who say you should just get over slavery, get over it, is a bozo. I don't think he's saying get over it. I'm just think he's saying we also have to focus on the future. I'm paraphrasing because I don't know what he said. I'm hoping that he said um, two things could be true at the same time. One is slavery. I mean, I can go down. We can have a conversation about the effects of slavery for 2 hours on this channel. Um, that's still present to this day, and the future is still the future, and we have to think about it. Dan Marasuti, what up? Dolly was a firecracker. Yes, she was. She had a big personality with that accent. Um, she has she was larger than life. And she didn't mind poking fun at herself. Like she didn't take herself too seriously. I've seen her talk about wearing wigs, and when you see her on TV, she gets all dialed up, as she said, I get all dialed up. I get all dialed up when you guys see me on TV, but when I'm not on TV, I look regular. She said, as a matter of fact, she goes to the store around her way and nobody recognizes her when she's not all dialed up. Um, just a tremendous woman. CNN has done nothing but cover Dolly Parton all day long, as they should, man. We get bombarded with so much negativity. Um, Nonstop is exhausting. And for a person who pushed positivity as much as she did to get her flowers, I'm all for it. They should cover her tomorrow too all day. Greg and says, I remember I say on the Kenny Parker show, Dolly Parton will stop racism here and she will be nice. Her and Keanu Reeves are like the nicest celebrities. Yeah. Um, only one Dolly Parton song, and that's only because Whitney remade it. Are you trying to say Dolly only had one song? Please don't say that, Rosmel. I don't know how old you are, Rosmel, but don't fall into that. Dolly owned all her masters. She did some good. If that's true, she did some good business. Um, in a time when, nobody even knew the business. Jack Swagger says, Islands in the Stream, I Will Always Love You, 9 to 5. R.I.P. Dolly Parton. Yeah, you understand, these are number one smashes. Islands in the Stream, I believe, with Kenny Rogers, the number one smash from a country group. Was unheard of. It's still, well, today is a little different because country is having a revival in the past 3 years. I have my thoughts on that, but I'm not going to say it. But country has had a revival in the past few years. But outside of the past few years, very difficult for a country record to do any numbers outside of Nashville. Islands in the Stream was huge. Working 9 to 5. I knew that song years before. I saw the movie on VHS. But when I was a kid, working 9 to 5, What a Way to Make a Living was a gigantic record when I was a kid. Number one. How about Jolene? Don't Take My Man. And she was a great guitar player too. T. Dyson, the song Ghetto Superstar was a cover of sorts of Dolly Parton's song Island in the Sun. Yeah. Islands, yeah. So we could tie her into hip hop. Actually, Just Ice was the first person to use that. Is it Latoya? You know you're sexy. You know, he said, something that is what you are. No one in between. Just Ice was singing, I can't remember the words, but he was singing on Latoya and Dolly Parton hook. So Dolly Parton was sampled in hip hop. Good one, T. Dyson. Uh, Dolly Parton was probably the nicest and kindest person on the planet. Um, from what we see of celebrities, yeah. Cutie Pie. She was a tiny little thing. Yeah, she was like 5 feet, right? With giant energy. KP, do you remember the show Midnight? Dolly Parton always performed on that show? No. CMC, what up? DJ George, I always wanted to meet her and go to her park, Dollywood. Yeah, yeah, man. It's a sad day for me, y'all. I'm very sad by this. Dolly was a real one. Yes, she was. Um, Dolly Parton's net worth was estimated between 450 and 650 million at the time of her passing in August 2026. That's crazy. A lot of that came from her properties, right? And she donated hundreds of millions. That means she would probably have been a billionaire had she kept all of her money. Engaged VR, salute. Haven't seen your name in a while. Dolly is like the 1% of people with 100 million that didn't use and abuse others to get it. Yeah, as far as we know, like I said, I don't know Dolly Parton, and I don't know all of her business practices or whatever, but no one has ever said a bad word about her, man. And if there was some scandal, it probably would have come up. There's just nothing. She was married. She stayed married to the same guy when she became a superstar, sex symbol. She stayed married to the same guy. Gotta love it, man. Oh. PBB NYC says most black people don't harp on slavery. We're concerned about present day racism. Yes. Black people still getting lynched in 2026. Yes. It's just that there's a root. Present day racism has a root. In order to get to the root of this problem of racism, you have to tackle the root. In America, it's the enslavement of the African. And we're here, black people in America, with really nowhere to go. We're not really from anywhere but here, and here doesn't want us. Crazy says, you may have answered this, but any thoughts on Dr. Dre using AI to make music? I just saw a little snippet of that, of his response. I just saw that today. I have to say, very disappointed. As you guys know, Dr. Dre is my favorite producer of all time. And I'm very disappointed by that statement. I don't know to what extent he's going to use AI. Is he going to just put in a bunch of prompts and the AI just spits out a beat and he uses it? Or is he going to use it to help find sounds? I don't know. But I just believe art should be created by humans and it should be special and individual to that person. Art should be individual to the individual that made it, unique. Even if it's whether you like it, don't like it, good, bad, unique to humans, not a machine who takes all of the knowledge and takes like a snapshot of everything a human ever made, mixes it up in a pot and spits it out as something like a hodgepodge of human creativity. I am not a fan. I would like to hear more of I would like to hear more of what he meant by that. MK Ultra. You must learn your history but live in the present moment. Two things can be true at once. Yes, I agree. Kenny, last week we lost Keith from the Funky 4+1. Donald McCoy. Yeah, we talked about that on Friday. That reminds me. This Friday coming, I may or may not be doing the live. I'm actually going to a high school reunion, y'all. Um, it's a celebration for those who have the book. My high school basketball coach Hartstein, whom I have not seen in decades, is having a get together of all of the players that played for him. Um, and a lot of the guys from my team got on me saying, I have to come, you have to come. So I will be going to that on Friday. Um, Maybe Stephon Marbury will show up. I believe he's in town. He played for my coach as well. Maybe I'll get to finally meet him. Um, and it goes from 6 to 9. So I may be doing my live from Coney Island. It's out in Coney Island where I went to high school, which is like 2 hours from where I live now. Hour and some change. So I might be going, I will be there, but I might be doing the live there or I might not. If I can find a space to do the live, we will be live on Friday. If not, I'm going to push it to Saturday. I got to see. Um, but I'm just giving a heads up. What? Oh, this is, wait a minute. I'm sorry, I clicked on, I'm just clicking. Jim Crow was horrible. Also, 100 years was bad. Yeah. We're not even talking about slavery because Jim Crow was horrific, was domestic terrorism on a lower level and systematic racism at a higher level. That was the 100 years after slavery was abolished. They just brought the Klan in. But still, the root goes back to slavery. So when I saw a rapper last month says, "Fuck activism. It's about jewelry and clothes," I was embarrassed for him. Sometimes people benefit from the work of others in spite of themselves. Samuel Gervais, I challenge Master P to tell the community to move past the, I get annoyed when Southern artists speak on behalf of the Black community. They sound so ignorant, like Killer Mike. I'm not going to accuse anybody of anything. Shout out to Killer Mike. Don't know him. But that is true. No one tells any other race to get over stuff except us. Aaron says, love Dolly. Her in 9 to 5. She was great in 9 to 5, by the way. And Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. I forgot about that. Great songs in that movie. I forgot about Great Little Whorehouse in Texas. Master P is also pushing there's no more Black-owned fashion. Maybe not mainstream like it used to be in the 90s. I don't know. Kenny, did you see the Target catching hell for the blackface Halloween costume? Yeah, I saw that. Um, I don't know if that was the intended intent, but what a colossal blunder. Someone should have caught that well before that came out. There's another blunder on Target. Yo, KPD, the new album from Busta Rhymes produced by Jay Dilla dropped today called Diligence 2. You hear it yet? No, but I saw a couple of the videos and I liked it. So I got to go back. I got to go. Thank you for putting that out there. I got to check that out. The stuff that I heard, I liked. Shout out to Busta Rhymes. Never met Jay Dilla, not to my knowledge. Rod Justice, Dolly wrote over 3,000 songs. It's crazy output. For a recording artist, that has to be approaching a record. 9 to 5 was a huge hit back in the day. Yeah, it was. I believe it was #1. That's why when somebody said Dolly only had one song and it's because Whitney did it over, I was like, yo, easy, bro. Easy, easy. Joey Joe said, "Wow, Target really effing up like that." Yeah, they made it. That was a big mistake. I'm gonna consider that a mistake, but someone should have been on that. Whoever's job it was to make sure stuff like that doesn't happen should be fired. Yeah, Booth Proof. Jolene was a hit too, a big hit. Oh, Lindell says KP. I think he meant he's only heard one Dolly song. Okay, that's why we're here to share information back and forth, and that's good. If you only heard one Dolly song, that's fine. Where I grew up, uh, the country music did not get played at all. It was not on my radar at all, and yet Dolly had some big crossover records. That's what I'm trying to say. If you don't know, um, now you know. In the words of Biggie, don't forget Jolene. I did not. Rosmel, I meant to say I only know one Dolly Parton song, which is fine. Um, she had a record called 9 to 5, which was a theme song to the movie. The movie was a gigantic hit, and that song was a gigantic hit. And Islands in the Stream was a gigantic hit with Kenny Rogers. And somebody just commented, um, she had dozens of country music hits. Like as a country music artist, she had giant records. This just wasn't on maybe our or my radar, but she was huge. Let me jump down a little bit. KP, was that Grand Poobah on Sexy? Yes. Masters of Ceremony. Jolene was covered by White Stripes. Jolene was covered by Miley Cyrus too. Isn't Dolly Parton her godmother? I believe Miley Cyrus's godmother is Dolly Parton. Something like that. I remember some comedian saying, was a comedian, somebody mentioned she's singing about Jolene. The song Jolene is Jolene, Please Don't Take My Man. There's some girl named Jolene that Dolly was afraid was gonna steal her man. And people was like, well, what does Jolene look like to take Dolly Parton's man? Roswell says, I know a lot of people that feel the same way that blacks need to stop making slave movies and move on past it. That's their opinion, but I disagree. And are these people that you know, are they black saying this? Kenny, that was Masters of Ceremony. Don Barron sung the Dolly song. It's on sexy, that is what you are. No, but Just Ice did it too. Wait a minute. In Latoya, didn't he sing that? It was Don Barron too. And I said it first, I said Master Ceremony, then I switched to Justice, but I think they both sung that. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Justice had it. Thank you, Candace Smith. Dolly Parton had 25 number 1 singles on the Billboard Hot Country Songs chart as a solo artist. Crazy, 25. She wrote more than 3,000 songs over her career. She had 44 career top 10 country albums. 44. She dominated. Remember when Waka Flocka Flame slipped on a banana peel when he said he would annihilate KRS One and Nas? on an 808 beat, labels himself a whack rapper, which of course he's right about that one. He has a right to his opinion, man. Maybe he would. Maybe Waka Flocka got some rhymes that we haven't heard yet. Based on what we have heard so far from Waka Flocka, so far, I don't know if that's in the same lyrical. I'm not gonna say I don't know. I'm not. I don't think. My opinion is I don't think what we've heard from Waka Flocka so far is in the same category as KRS-One and Nas. And I'm trying to be politically correct here. What we've heard so far, no. Now, if Waka Flocka got something we haven't heard yet, maybe. Patrick, wow, that was Don Barron of Masters of Ceremony singing that Dolly hook. Yes. I'm going to go back and listen to LaToya after this because I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. KP, Dolly never had any controversial scandals. What a classy woman. Absolutely. Definition of class. Not one. She been in the business 60 years and nothing. Crazy. This is ill. Icon says, how are we supposed to get over slavery when they keep naming stuff after slavery owners? Great point. Corey Flusses Kenny, what does that mean, tackle the root? How should that be done? Well, the conversation, in order to deal with any problem, you have to go back to the source of the problem and deal with that. How it happened, what went wrong, how could we fix, you can't go back and fix the past, but what can we do to make sure this thing never happens again? What were the ramifications of this event? How can we fix it? Or if it's still going on, how can we stop it? But you always have to go back to how did we get here? Whenever there's a problem, the solution isn't, well, let's just deal with it from now and just keep going. No, we have to figure out how did we get here? And how did we get to the racism that we are still experiencing today in America? You have to go back to the root, which is slavery. There are many companies around the world that made millions off of the slave trade. All of these insurance companies, many of these big banks made a lot of their fortune off the slave trade. There's families that have had generational wealth dating back hundreds of years from selling human beings. It's systematic, but you have to get to the how we started and how can we fix it. Def Rock said that Dr. Dre statement was ignorant. I don't know. I didn't see all of it. And Dr. Dre is great, so I'd love to hear what he meant. Cutie Pie loved Dolly and Steel Magnolias. I did not see Steel Magnolias, but I know that was a big movie. Now there's talk about boycotting Target over the blackface costume. Again, the boycott is supposed to be continuous. I need to see more. See, I don't know how they came to the conclusion of putting that costume out. I don't know if they put the costume out with this intent purpose of let's make something that looks like blackface from 1920 something. I don't know. You'd have to be incredibly stupid to do something like that. I think though somebody put out this design and either consciously or unconsciously wasn't aware of how it must have looked to other people. I don't know. I personally don't have enough information on this, but I'm leaning towards somebody was just incredibly stupid. And they quickly apologized and pull it down. So whoever's at the top of Target also realized that that shit was stupid. Now, if the boycott is on, let it be on. What's the difference between using AI and sampling to create? How is that not the same? There's a huge difference between a human being using pieces of another human being's work and interpolating it to try to make something new. That is different than an artificial intelligence scouring through everything everyone has ever made to come up with something and present it as human like. There's a huge difference between that. It's not the same. I don't consider AI and sampling to be the same at all. And even sampling is borrowing something that another human made and paying him to use it. Hey, dude, can I borrow this sound you made right here? I'll give you money to use it again. AI is trying to say that what they're making is original, that you don't have to pay anybody because this is an original music. How is it original when you're getting the ideas from a human? It's not the same. Scorpio Life says, we ain't leaving though. Built this biatch for free. That is in the mix too. I'm super far behind. KP's big up on the high school reunion. Yeah, I've never been to a high school reunion in my life. This is more like the basketball reunion. It's not just my high school, my year, but it's like my coach coached, I believe, from 79, 80 season to like 90. When did Stephon graduate? Like 95? He retired right after Stephon left. So he coached like 15 years. So it's anybody who played in those 15 years. So I don't know how many people are going to be there, but I know quite a few people that I played ball with are going to be there. Rosmel at Corey Flood, he means to get to the root of the problem, and the problem is white supremacy. Yes. Yes. But it's white supremacy and economic at taking advantage, what's the word I'm looking for? Economic crimes, really. It was human trafficking when it was legal human trafficking. So there's an economic factor to this too. That's how America got so rich so fast. America became a superpower faster than any other country. Why? Settlers came to a place, saw people living there, the Native Americans, ended all of them, took the land, and then imported slaves to work the land, pick all of the resources, cotton, whatever, tobacco, and build it up and get all the money without having to pay anybody. America has a really sordid history, man. And we are smack dab in the middle of it. So to say just, forget about that, it's not so simple. Patrick Wise says, Bobby Hartstein, you must show up for that, KP. Absolutely, I must. That's why I'm going. Bobby says, what the heck? No live on Friday? Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm going to try. Tracy says, have an amazing time, Kenny. Yes, I will. Just want to see my coach, see his face Um, People says, KP, if you run into Nems in Coney Island, be sure to tell him for F your life. I like Nems. Uh, JT said, outrageous. KP, bring your podcast kit and go live from the reunion. It's possible. I don't know if I can, but I'll try. Uh, Patrick White says, do a live on Friday with some of your teammates. That'd be cool. I don't even know who's going to be there. Um, falling behind. I'm falling. Target is aptly named. They keep making themselves a target. Yeah, they keep. This is like self-inflicted wounds. Cutie Pie says, what the heck is Target thinking? I have to think they weren't thinking. They're just putting out mass stuff without really understanding that this image right here looks a little familiar. Um, let's see. KP, see if you can get Pooh Harding and Steph Marbury to come on a live Friday. I'm pretty sure Pooh would do it. You know, that's my little brother right there. But Steph, I don't know Steph Marbury, so we'll see. I don't know how it's going to turn out, man. This is very interesting. Like a professor from Howard University said, that target thing is what happens when you don't have DEI at the table. It's what happens when you don't have a black person or somebody with some cultural awareness doing quality control. Um, That's crazy how Dolly Parton only had one hit. Wait until Patti LaBelle or Shaka dies and someone says they only had one hit. Well, you know, people know what they know, man. People know what they know. It's not, you know, it's not anybody's fault if you only know one song. I'm pretty sure there's great artists who I only know one song. And that's what we're here for. To learn, exchange ideas. Um, but if you're not familiar with Dolly Parton, she was an absolute giant and a superstar. All of the 70s, 80s, 90s, my whole life. One of the most recognizable people. Rod Justice says, yes, Dolly is her godmother. Yeah, thank you. I know Miley Cyrus must be devastated. Rosmel says, yes, black people are saying that, including Snoop. A lot of rich black people, the 0.0001% of the black population, are feeling really good. Um, and they are so far removed, and it's a shame because most of them grew up poor, but they are so far removed from what's going on with the rest of the culture that they make statements like this. I'm not saying Snoop said this because I don't know, but I've seen certain affluent black people say lines like this. But I always go back to one of my heroes, one of my main heroes, the great brother Malcolm, has a whole story about the slave ninja and the house ninja. For those that don't know that, you should really just look up Malcolm X, Slave Ninja, and the House Ninja, and you will see why some black people feel this way. And when I talk about the effects of slavery, these are the effects of slavery right now today. When a person a black person who's rich can make a statement like that, that is the effects of slavery. Rock Justice, thank you. Just like song, I'm leaving on a jet plane. Don't know when I'll be back again. That's what he was singing. I was wrong, Rod Justice. Dave, I think this is not the first time you've done this to me, man. All right, Rod Justice, I hear you loud and clear. Okay. Thank you. I'm wrong once a year. He sung something. Rosmus, because I know 9 to 5, but I didn't know that Dolly made it. I'm not a country head. Yeah, when I was growing up as a kid, there was a lot of songs that I knew as a kid. I never know who sung it. I just knew the song was on. I liked the song. Then years later, you find out, oh, that was so and so. But yeah, working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living, was gigantic. Um, Just Ice did Jet Plane by John Denver. Did I say he sung Islands of the Stream? I didn't say that. Uh, Tybo says Dawn Barron and Stetsasonic and Just Ice used it. Wait a minute, Tybo, am I back? Tybo, can you find a song that Just Ice used it? I might be back. Def Rocker says, Latoya, he says, I believe we're going to explain. Yeah, so it wasn't that, but I might be back. I might be back, though. Hold on. KP, get the BDP medallion ready. I know it's right there. I had a rant last time, and some people misunderstood what I meant when I was saying I was talking about the Shabba Rank song, The Jam with KRS-One, and I was expressing that I felt I should have gotten credit and didn't. And some people took it to mean I was taking a jab at KRS, which I was not. Um, And like I said, Chris did so much for me. The least I could have done was hook him up with some beats for this song. But I was just saying that I felt that if Pal Joey got credit for what he did, then I should have got credit as well. That's what I was saying. Not a slur to KRS. You know what's funny too? You guys go back and watch that video. Shout out to my girl Big Les, who I keep saying I need to get on this channel. I really need to reach out to Big Les. That's my dog. And shout out to Josie too, the light-skinned girl who used to have the braids. There was a minute when they took over the dancing world, early 90s on. They danced in that Shabba Ranks video. And I remember they had two um, stages. One with Shabba rapping and girls dancing behind him, and one with KRS rapping and girls dancing behind him. And they were going back and forth. And I remember Big Les was on um, the side that we were on. I didn't even make the video, but Big Les was on the side with KRS. I was there, all of us. And the camera was mostly on Shaba. And I remember Big Les turned to me. I had just met her. And she turned to me and she was like, why does the camera keep staying on Shaba? And I said, I said to her, this is Shaba's song, not KRS-One song. And she said, oh. And she said, you switch sides. And she told some girl who was like, on the lesser tier from her and Josie. She said, you switch sides. And the girl came from the Shabba side to the KRS side, and Big Les went to the Shabba side. If I ever get Big Les on here, I'm gonna bring that up because it was mad funny. I was dying laughing. Um, Josie ended up being a fly girl on In Living Color. She was always nice to me when I used to see her out and about. Big Les introduced me to all of them. Gotta get Les on this channel. Um, that's it. Tim Scott, the Beaver, who married a Karen, said America is not a racist country. Of course not. He is one of the most embarrassing black people I've ever seen. Tim Scott looks like a fake Uncle Ruckus, Karan Butler. Shout out to Karan Butler. I'm not going to disrespect him. Tim Scott, and this doesn't even matter what side of the political aisle you're on, but Tim Scott is such a bootlicker, man. I remember he was up there on the podium with Trump, and he's going, "We love you, Trump. We just love you so much." And he was licking boots so much that Trump looked at him and started laughing. Even Trump was like, damn. And Trump said to him, wow, man, you are such a politician. That's what he said to him. He was licking Trump's shoes so hard that Trump was like, chill. And Trump still didn't pick him for the cabinet after all that bootlicking. Oh my God. Ah. Let's see. Patrick Wise says, big up to Tiny Morton. Yeah, shout out to Tiny. He came right after I graduated and became the winningest, as far as championships goes, the winningest basketball coach in the history of New York. He won a championship as a player and a coach at Lincoln High School, my alma mater. I saw him a few years ago. We kicked it for a second. I'm not that far behind, y'all. Joey says, I don't think Target slipped up. Somebody within the company is trying to cause controversy negatively, cause it will prove that black people really ain't going to boycott them regardless. That's possible, Joey Joe, but that is so stupid, a gamble, that I have to believe that's not true. You'd have to be out of your mind to poke the bear like that. And the bear is already mad, but you're going to poke the bear again? And then apologize. I have to believe that was a mistake, because either that or you're just the dumbest company of all time. Patrick Wise says, big up Spice Kilpatrick. Wow, you're digging up all the people. I played ball with Spice 3 years. Great ball handler, one of the best dribblers I've ever seen. China Doll, human trafficking is not new. It's been going on for years, under our noses, as they say, right in front of our faces. Well, it's been going on since the beginning of recorded history, but Cynthia, for those that don't know, China Doll was worked for, I guess, your whole adult life, right? In child protective services, which is a great profession. You probably saved countless children. And so you're very aware of these things. But yes, human trafficking is going on right now. I was watching a whole thing on missing people. I'm not going to do it today. We really need to have a serial killer day. Because I have a lot I want to talk about in regards to that and human trafficking and stuff. And I'm not going to go there today. But we really need y'all to get together. For those that's interested, it might be just a handful of us on a weekend, just get together, because I have a lot to say about that human trafficking and stuff, but I'm not going to do it here. Wow, Corey Fudge, you be saying some wild stuff. I'll be reading your comments, but I'm gonna read this one. Kenny, you and your brother are both millionaires. How then did you succeed if America is so racist? There's so many layers to that question. I'm going to start with the most obvious. I am not a millionaire, not even close. My brother has made a ton of money over his 40-year career. He's going on 40 years, y'all. He busts his ass. I don't know if you read the book, Corey Flood, but The KRS-One journey into this game is not like anyone else's we've ever seen. And like I said before, he had to create a whole genre called battle rap just to get in. He had to create a lane. But I say this to say, and we're about to go down this rabbit hole. I'm not going to really go too deep in the rabbit hole, but I'm just to answer your question. Racist America, those that are racist, everyone in America is not racist. So I'm talking about specifically racist, but I'm going to say capitalism is set up like this for the black man. We don't want most of you guys, but there's a 1% of black America that can make us money. If you can entertain white America, and this goes back to slavery, for those that saw Roots, even a television show. Remember Fiddler? They love Fiddler because he can make everybody dance. Like, come on, Fiddler, play that fiddle again. They all dance. If you can entertain white people, you can make money in America, either as an athlete or as an actor or in a recording artist or some kind of medium like that. They will allow you to make X amount of dollars because they're making 10 times what you're making. Talked about this on this channel many times. The music business, entertainment business are all owned by rich white people. That's not a racist statement, that is a fact. They're making 10 times what you make. But even in that 90-10 ratio, you can still make $1 million if you are the 1%. It's probably less than 1%. If you're like the 0.5% of black people who can entertain, you can make $1 million in America. But just know that someone else made 10 off your one. That's cool. You can make $1 million. For the other 99% of African Americans in this country, racist white people want nothing to do with you. You are a problem. You are here now, and we can't enslave you. You're just a problem. So we let you live in certain parts of the country, and you're 13% of the population, and you are a problem. They do not want you, and if you all disappeared like Thanos, if they had a glove with the power stones, these racists will snap their finger and 99% of all black people that ever existed would disappear forever. And they'd be left with the 1% that can make them money. So to answer your question, how did you succeed if America's so racist? That is really, Corey Flood, I'm surprised at you for saying that. But to answer your question, two things can be true at the same time. America can be one of the most racist, historically racist places on earth, and a black man could get rich too. And I am not a millionaire, by no means. B-Boy Jones says, KP, if this was the Tonight Show, who would fill in for you on an off day like Friday? It would be reruns. Like, dudes are off, you get the best of. I need to make like a best of the Kenny Parker show and show it on a Friday. Chatterdog says, enjoy the reunion. I'm glad you're going. Thank you, Cynthia. Yeah, I don't usually do stuff like that, but I'm gonna go for this one. Big up Silk Owens. Absolutely. I talk about him a lot in my book. Uh, Patrick McGee says Dolly Parton only had one hit song. No, we talked about that earlier, and that is not true. Target stock is up 65% over the last year. Who knows what that is about? I don't really follow stocks like that. Mike Rock says, what? Dolly Parton has transitioned? Yes, sadly, 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 sadly. Definitely not saying forget what your ancestors went through. If you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it, yes. But I'm saying stop dwelling on it to the detriment of your future. The word is, I wouldn't say dwelling, I would say aware. Because things have gotten tremendously better for the black man in America over the past 50 years. And we still have a ways to go. And some in government are trying to reverse a lot of the advancements that have been made that were fought for. They're trying to roll back the clock to Jim Crow. And there's black people, mostly men, who are yeah. As long as I make money, I don't care what happens. It ain't gonna affect me or my kids. That's what you think, but okay. You're right. We have to focus on the future. I think our future revolves around organization. We are the most unorganized group of this size ever. We have not had a real leader since the 60s, in my opinion. Black America is crying out for somebody to take the mantle and lead us where we need to go. But we haven't had, we have fakers, substitutes for the real thing. Big up to the people who really put their life on the line for me to be able to be on here talking to you guys. You know, if you don't want to talk about slavery, like they said, let's just talk about Jim Crow. Let's just talk about the 60s. 60s wasn't that long ago. The Civil Rights Act that made it illegal to kill a black person in the street and hang them from a tree, that was 1965. They had to send the army to places in America just so that black little girl could go to school. Then she had to be escorted by the army. That was the other day. All of them people who you see standing in front of the school with those mean faces. You ever see those old pictures of those old white racist evil men and women standing in front of the schools pointing at these people and yelling at these black kids, and all they're doing is going into school with their books? Those people are still alive. They're like 80, 85, still walking around. So it's not like you're dwelling on the past, but it's right there on the back of your neck. We need a leader. How can we move forward? We have no organization. Every leader who's ever stood up for us really stood up, lost it all. Life, money, family. Big up to the last guy who really put it out there, Colin Kaepernick. Like I said on this channel, there will never be slander about him on this channel. Whether you like him or not, he risked it all for us. Our parents and grandparents went through hell, y'all. Real hell. And for what? What did they do wrong? I mean, we could really go down this rabbit hole, but KP, most of them are far removed from the truth. Yeah, but it's just well, they're in touch with a truth. What it's like to be black and rich in America. That's a truth that a percentage of black people ever get to experience. Everyone else is catching hell and it's going back in the other direction. I don't know. See, when I talk about the effects of slavery, this is a slave comment right here. Dang, sounds like all you niggas in New York are broke. We eating good in the South. See, that I don't know if you're joking or not, but that's a slave comment. Rod Justice, I gotta agree with this. I know Dolly was a giant because even I had heard of her. I don't know much about pop culture, so if someone reaches my awareness, they're a big deal. Yeah. Even as a little kid, I knew who Dolly was. Um, Never at a 50 said, yep, I got the Malcolm X viewpoint on the whole looking to rich people, celebrities for leadership. People need to come to grip, especially in middle small town America. Yo, some of the stuff, you go back and look at some of Malcolm's old interviews. It sound like right now, sadly. Technically, using STEM software in music is AI usage. Yes. So as long as individual human creativity is involved, I'm cool with it. I'm not a fan of just typing make a dope beat and AI spit something out. That's exactly where I'm at, Divine. Um, that's my sentiments. And yes, stems is AI usage. You can make acapellas, you can make instrumentals of real humans that really made something back in the day. Yeah, but type in, alchemist type beat and some shit just come up. And you just use it like it's yours is whack to me. Um, Philly She says, love Josie Harris. Yeah, shout out to Josie Harris. I didn't know her like that, but when I used to see her out and about, and she was always nice to me. Um, and there's the choreographer Fatima, the one who choreographed the Remember the Time video. I think that's the epitome of that whole crew, Big Les and all of them. The epitome of their, like the crowning moment for them was that Remember the Time video. They did a lot of Les and them was in every video. But for a minute, but that Remember the Time video was the epitome. And that signature dance that Michael Jackson was doing, the girl Fatima, I believe, was the choreographer of that. And Les introduced me to Fatima one day in the party. Shout out to my man Buddha Stretch too, from the Latin Quarter Union Square days. He's in that video too. Uh, see. JT says Big Les ain't nobody's fool. She knew where the cameras was at. Yeah, oh yeah, she knew where the cameras was at and knew that they weren't on her. And she was like, oh no. If DJ KP gets Big Les and Sweet Tea on the podcast, he can end the podcast right there forever. I'll be in heaven. I don't know Sweet Tea like that. I've met her a couple of times. Big Les, I'm slipping because that's my homie. I should really just ask her. That Mash It Up beat with Justin KRS still slaps. Yes, I was in the studio for that. The only song I was in the studio from. Um, um, I was in the studio for that. I think I've talked about that before. The only song on that album I was in the studio for. I see some Tim Scott comments, but I'm just gonna skip past that. Silk Child, what up? What up? Gucci did the exact same thing. We ran straight back to them. Shaking my head. What exact? I don't know what exact same thing is. I guess he's talking about um talking about being rich. I don't know what it's like to have tens of millions of dollars and be in that circle. Um, to be so far gone that you're swimming in money and you just forget everything. And the people around you, they're just like, you're the greatest and it's all good. You can forget what's really going on. Um, JT says, ignore the troll. Yeah, I know. I'm not calling anybody a troll, but some of these questions but well, I respect all questions. Even if to me they sound crazy, I will try to answer them to the best of my ability. Um, I don't know. KP is a millionaire in wisdom and knowledge. Thank you. Bebo, there are a lot of assumptions baked into that silly question. All questions, no question is silly. Oh my God. The trolls come out at night. KP Corey Flood is trying to get you to bring out the medallion. Well, it worked. There is a video on YouTube that talks about Karisma's lifestyle. I didn't see it yet, only the thumbnail. I don't even look at stuff like that, but um, we didn't even go a week before the medallion came out again. Yeah, medallion only comes out when I get people say things that bring up emotions, and I go into rants. I try not to rant. I have a bunch of rants, y'all. I just try to keep them at a minimum, but sometimes, you got to address things as best you can. Some people are better off shutting their yaps. They have access to a vast amount of knowledge on anything they could dream of, accessible with the same phone they're gonna goon corn on all day. I mean, I don't know. I I, I try not to. I try to be as objective as possible on this channel, y'all. Believe me, I have a lot of opinions on a lot of different things. Um, but I also am an objective person because I also believe there's two sides to every story. And even things that I am strongly uh, leaning in one direction, I try to see what the other uh, alternative opinions could be and try to see if there's some logic of how we got there. And some things to me just doesn't make any sense. Aaron said, some of y'all need to watch Bamboozled, Spike Lee joint. Yes, that was a great movie, by the way. Um, Rod Justice, there's also an interesting rhetorical trick in the question. It turns Kenny and his brother's success into evidence against everyone else's experience. Yeah, I know some of these comments are probably just meant to, well, that's what trolls do. Not calling anybody a troll, but some people have troll-like behavior because trolls say things just to get reactions and cause dissension on the channel. Maybe I should stop reading some people's comments. Target stock went down 4% since the blackface incident. They'll probably recover. Sydney Rose says race is clearly a hot button topic. Race is the topic. I think most things in America revolve around the root is racism. And no, the root is economic. Rich versus poor is the real root of all problems in the history of mankind, in my opinion. But racism is right there. And the rich use racism to deflect from what they're really doing. It's crazy how some black people want to pretend like there's no racism just to get in good with whites. Yeah. House Negro versus the field Negro. Man, some people, it's just like the Matrix. When my man took the red pill and he's like, I want back. I want to go back to when it's nice. I want to eat a steak and taste it. Remember the guy, I forgot his name, who made the deal with the AI to go back into the Matrix, even though he knew it was bullshit because it felt good. There are people in this world that's tired of suffering, man. I don't want to suffer. I want to go over here where it looks nice. And people act like they care about you. They don't care about you. They care about what you can do. And the minute you stop entertaining, you will find out what they really think. DB says black people don't have enough people to go alone. I agree with that, sort of. That's why in the 60s they pushed for integration. Black Americans need to be equal, not separate. I kind of agree with that. I am no social scientist, and I don't put myself nowhere near the minds of the great ones that came before me, that fought the fight, that's still fighting the fight. But I always say, I'm gonna say it again, I am a Malcolm X kind of guy. His philosophy, his whole arc, I'm not part of the Nation of Islam, but his arc is, I can relate. But I believe Martin Luther King's tactics was the right solution, was the right way to, what was I'm looking for, was the right approach. I think ultimately Malcolm X's approach, especially when he was with the nation, would not have won. I think Martin Luther King was right, but I'm more of a Malcolm guy, but I recognize he was right. Black Americans can never be equal, can never be separate but equal in America. That's not possible. And was it Marshall? Was it Thurgood Marshall? Not sure if it was him. I could be wrong. Maybe somebody else who went to the Supreme Court and fought that and convinced the Supreme Court, which is very difficult, systematic racism, that separate but equal was unconstitutional. It's not possible in this country. If you took every black person in America and gave them one chunk of land in America and it's like, this is for black people only, and put them there, it would not be equal. The only solution is integrations. Sadly, that's the only way. Not sadly, because what am I trying to say? Sadly, in that it would be great if black people had a place, black Americans had a place to go that was our own place for the first time in history, our own land. But sadly, I don't think that's possible now. And black people don't have enough to go it alone. I agree with all of that. There's people that's not gonna there's people that's not gonna agree with me, but this is my assessment so far. DJKP, we're not sheep. Follow God, not a man. Most people are sheep though, Mike Rocks. Most people do not follow God, they follow man. We don't need a leader, we need an agenda. When leaders die, movements stop. If we have an agenda, the leader dies, the movement does not stop. You go from page 1 to page 2. Yeah, we need an agenda, but we need somebody to even present the agenda. Who's going to present the agenda to the people? Only someone who everyone respects can present the agenda. You're right. Once a leader dies, sometimes the movement stops. Sometimes there's a successor. But we at least need somebody who we all respect to present the agenda, and we all get together and follow that agenda. Who is that person going to be? Don't forget the U.S. used to drop bombs on white hillbillies in West Virginia, too. It was called the Battle of Blair Mountain. I don't know much about that. Um, but I would say the U.S. dropping bombs on white people in America is far and few between. This is where I'm at. True, Kenny. People act like it was our ancestors from centuries ago when this was literally your parents. Yeah, that's what I'm talking. Matter of fact, XP7575, let's take it even deeper. I'm going to shout out my friend. Her name is Sydney. Her, I would say, great aunt just turned 100 last week. Incredible. She's still alive. She's 100 years old from the South. She has seen a slave with her own two eyes. You got to imagine slavery ended in 1865, right? With the end of the Civil War. That was what's my math? 150 years? 1865, 160 years? 160 years-ish, right? So if you're 100 years old right now, let's say when you were like 10, that was 1916, no, 1936, right? In 1936, anybody that you saw older than 70-ish, 72, was born a slave. So when you were 10 years old, any old person in the South that you saw that was like 80, 77, 80, 85, those old people, they were slaves. There's a person right now, 100 years old, right now today that's still alive, that when they was a little kid saw real slaves with their own two eyes. They're still living. Slavery was not that long ago. This is actual slavery. You saw a slave with your own two eyes. That's the other day to me. And then Jim Crow. This is where I'm at. People act like it was a long time ago. It really wasn't, bro. Thank you for that comment. We're in OT, y'all. I think I'm gonna stop. I think this is the last day I'm gonna call 9:30 OT because we just blow past 9:30 every week. I'm gonna say this is the last OT. But this is the Kenny Parker Show. We do this every Tuesday and hopefully next Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Big up to the Rewind crew who's going to check this out later on. Get the shirt. Be part of the t-shirt crew. The link is in the description below. Get the book. The link is in the description below. I'm going to jump down a little bit, even though I'm loving this conversation. I see Verse Pro got another slave comment on here. You know what, Verse Pro? I'm just gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna let you get it off your chest. But you are my definition of a slave mentality. CMCKP, was KRS able to participate in the Million Man March at any capacity? No, and I remember it because we had a show. We had a show that weekend, and I remember driving down. It was coming down I-95, but I forgot what it's called when it's in DC. But you can see the Capitol, and you can see people and cars, and it looked like a big thing going on. We drove past the Million Man March on our way back from a show, on our way back to New York. So we weren't able, KRS wasn't able to participate. We drove through. JT says, block that fool, KP. Instant red card. Who is he calling? I'm trying not to block anybody on here because everybody has a right to their opinion. Long as it's not something, vulgar or something like that or threatening, I'm gonna try not to block people. Plus I want everybody to see all the comments. There is no leader amongst Black people because we have no code between us. There's too much delineation. I agree with all of that. Let's see. Marquis says Dolly Parton feared family would fight over her $65 million fortune and actively arranged its distribution before her death at 80. Smart. Um, Thank you, B-Ball. Says, I got deep today. Um, KP dropping jewels on him and never running from the smoke. I never run from the smoke. I try to keep this channel at a certain level, though, without name calling and all kind of stuff. But I'm not trying to call anybody names, but some things are just outlandish to me. Yes, her name is Fatima Robinson. Yep. Fatima Robinson was dope. Yes, she was. Is. Jerry Jones was in one of those pictures. Yep. And his excuse was he was just watching, which is possible. He could have walked up on the scene and saw this was going on and was just standing there like, what the hell? And somebody took a picture. That's possible. I don't know if I believe that. Don't know if I believe that. But if that's your story and you're sticking to it, stop feeding the trolls, KP. Respectfully, of course. Yeah, I know. But sometimes, man. Uh, did you know Dolly Parton collabed with Beyonce? No. People says KP bigger than me. I would be cursing people out for some of the things they said. Yeah, but if you don't listen to other opinions, you start becoming closed-minded and you get in your own ecosystem where everything, only information that feeds your preconceived notions, that's all you're gonna take in. I try to take in information that I don't agree with just to see. And if you can make a valid point, if somebody could prove to me that their point is valid, I'm all for it. Um, some things is, I don't know. Uh, Plus, I would never disrespect the elders. What they went through for me, I would never fix my mouth until you've been in them shoes, man. How far behind am I? I'm very far behind, so I'm gonna jump down. Let me jump in right. I see another ridiculous comment. I might be seconds away from blocking somebody. I can't believe it. I know this is just troll behavior, but I'm gonna let you guys see what it said. I'm about one comment away from blocking people because I have to believe you're just saying things just to be a asshole. So we'll see. If black people have their own space, community, and land, I believe somehow the other side would still find a way to come over to destroy, burn, and kill. Yes. Yes. And if we don't have the right mindset, we would destroy it from within too. We're really deep today, y'all, but I love it. Um, we're in OT, the last OT. The root problem is that the root problem is it's illegal to do anything that the creators of our laws did that put them in power. Those laws were created so that we as a people cannot revolt and change the people in power. Well, the problem is that there's loopholes in their laws. First of all, when these laws were being written, black people weren't even considered human. We were cattle. What were we, 3/5 of a human? That was the Supreme Court determined. Was that the Dred Scott decision? He sued and it went all the way to the Supreme Court. And they decided that a black person, a slave, cannot sue because a slave is not a human. So therefore, you would have no rights. You're a cattle. So when they were writing these laws, we weren't even part of all men are created equal. We weren't even part of that conversation. So it still all goes back to certain things for me. Patrick White says Jack Johnson is the baddest black man to walk the earth. He's one of them. This is another one. This is another one of my heroes. This is maybe a top 3. Kenny, Harriet Tubman risked her life to rescue slaves from the north to the south and haven't been caught. Harriet Tubman, to me, is in my top 2 or 3 greatest people that I admire. Talk about putting your life. There was thousands of dollar bounty on her head. And she went back and forth. And we could do a whole hour just on Harriet Tubman. I don't even think I watched the Harriet Tubman movie, and I don't even think it did justice to her whole real struggle. That was an incredibly tough woman. Cutie Pie says, I still think you should do a serial killer live, KP. Cutie Pie, you would watch that? Let's go. You know what? We're going to set this up. Not this weekend, because I said I want to do one more book live too. A book live and a serial killer live. Not this weekend. Maybe next weekend. Is next weekend Memorial Weekend? Maybe the weekend after. The next soon we're going to do it. Because there's a lot of things. I have a lot of insight I want to talk to you guys about regarding stuff like that. Spook Rebel says, Kelly Parker forgot the memo. The new OT is 10 p.m. That's 2 hours. We started at an hour show, y'all. Now we're at 2 hours. If you guys want to hang out with me, we can hang out. I just don't want to take it too far. And I don't want to scare the Rewind crew when they come and say, look at the time and be like, these dudes is talking for 2.5 hours. It's too long. I can't watch it. This is ill, JT. Look into many countries that had slavery. Compensation for slave owners was still being, until recently. In the UK, the payments to slave owners finished in 2015, but don't mention reparations. That's crazy. Rod Justice says, the more I hear about Dolly Parton, the more I like her. Me too. Everything you hear about her is just she was great and funny and giving and smart. Greg says, Patrick Y mentions Sweet Sable was so good from Brooklyn. Love her voice. I remember Sweet Sable. Was that Old Time's Sake? I kind of feel like Alicia Keys took her song. on her live album. Divine, this is KP. Do we need to bring back calling people jive turkeys around here? Kind of. Um, Cutie Pie says, we allowed to change our minds. Absolutely, we are. That's the beauty of being human and the beauty of being alive, is that you can get new information and change your mind. JT says, hit that block, KP. Who's with me? If we get enough voices to say hit the block, I might have to go back and do it. B-Ball says, block him like Matumbo. Shout out to the great Mutombo. Jack Swagger says, Blizzak. We're getting a lot of block 'em in here. Has a lot of, I'm scrolling down, seeing a lot of block. Block him like Ben Wallace. Shout out to Ben Wallace. The laws only apply to the people who do not write the laws. I like that, Rod Justice. Seems like that is what's going on even right now. Sandwich race. I think they're scared the leadership out of our black community by assassinating all of our leaders in the past. Martin, Megas, Malcolm. That's the goal. Remember, this was in FBI files. The J. Edgar Hoover created COINTELPRO to dismantle all of the black organizations, and they were very afraid of what they called a black messiah who would come along and organize black people. They were very afraid of that, of the 13% of the population being organized. Let's see. We're in OT. Sydney Rose says, man, KP, you're really laying it down tonight. Thank you, Sydney Rose. We can talk about more than hip hop and hoops. Yeah. I mean, that's the channel is basically, this is a hip hop channel. I try to keep it hip hop and hoops and whatever we want to talk about and try to keep it on a positive note. But there's some things we could talk about problems that's going on in the world. I have no problems with that. We could get dark. Patrick McLean says, no serial killer talk. I don't know, Patrick McLean, you might be in the minority. I mean, it's going to be on a day when it's going to be on a day where you don't have to click on if you don't want to. But I'm leaning towards that. Divine says, this year Halloween falls on a weekend. That's your serial killer live day. Yeah, that's like 2 months from now, though, but I wanted to do it sooner than that. Rosmel says, black people really don't need any allies. Do you know how much power and sway we can have in this country if we just got on code with each other? We would have a lot of power and sway, but we still need more. If every single black person alive got together, which is not possible realistically, still 13% of the population would have to go up against the other 87%. That is not a good, it's winnable, but if you can get more people on your side, real change can happen. And the crazy part is other races and nationalities benefit greatly from the black person's fight in America. They come here and benefit tremendously to what our parents fought for. And they hate us too. It's crazy. Dolly Parton was super exceptional and talented. Yes, every adjective that you can give a person that you consider great. And keep in mind, we don't know her, and nobody is perfect. But what we know of Dolly Parton, she seems like an amazing woman. This is crazy, Rod Justice. They just said Dolly got her first Grammy in '79 and her last Grammy in 2021. You know what a crazy career that is? And by '79, she had been rocking for like 10 years. We're approaching 10 o'clock. Brunswick, I was listening to the original way today. Man, I love that BDP track. Thank you so much, Brunswick. A young KP would be very happy. KP Show Donkey of the Day. uh, Kenny, the Tuskegee experiment was unethical to black men, was terrible. Yes, that's just the ones that we know of. There has to be more. I see a lot of blocks coming on in here. Like I said, we're probably one comment away from I might have to do it. In the words of Wesley Sniper, cancel the bitch. Shout out to New Jack City. DB says no serial killers. Bobby W says the rewind crew will understand. Hopefully. That's like KP, we need a movie show with you and KRS. No hip hop, just old school movie talk. That would be dope. Chris watches movies not as much as me. His favorite movie of all time is The Matrix, the Matrix series. He loves The Matrix like I love Silence of the Lambs. Um, I'm right. I'm not far behind, y'all. I'm caught up. This is deep right here. White people need to come to grips with the fact that the root of racism is the same root that's eroding the middle class and hurting all of us across all racial boundaries. Yes, that is the real secret right there, Neved. Yes. But there, some of them are so far gone and so deep root. So this is the same way our parents and grandparents and great grandparents taught to us, and we had to learn things. Their great grandparents and parents have taught them about hatred. They are so rooted and stuck that some people are unreachable. Nino says, KP, I've never heard ill news about Dolly. Me neither. Not even close. Not, I've never heard anybody be indifferent about Dolly. It's always, she's great. JT says that was one more, KP. I didn't see. Uh-oh. Somebody somebody ratted. I didn't see the comment. I'm jumping down. I don't see another comment. Let me go up a little bit. I don't see a comment. So I'm gonna uh, I don't see a comment, so I'm gonna. I haven't seen it, but we are one comment away. I didn't see it. April 7th is Gary Ridgway, Lonnie David Franklin, Jeffrey Dahmer, Gacy Bundy, Richard Ramirez. Run the psychology on them for that show. I'm not an expert on that, but I would love to dig into it. Each one of them seem to have a different motivation, though. It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? Remember when that used to come on? Is that only a New York thing? When they used to say, it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? That I think they should still do that everywhere. What is the worst rap song you've ever heard in your life? I don't believe in best and worst. So it had to be the song I disliked the most in life. I don't know if I would disrespect anybody on the channel. I have a song in my mind right now, but I'm not going to say it. But song I disliked the most in life that was like a hit, like that was like playing. There's a lot of new stuff. Ted Bundy is on the Mount Rushmore of serial killer. Yeah, we talked about that. He is definitely. Cutie Pie, to be considered a serial killer, you must have taken 3 lives. Yeah, that's the technical definition, but I got a more opinion on that, Cutie Pie. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this, man. Because I really want to get into this a little bit for those that want to. I just saw a post of Michi Me mentioning that Ken Grox. I just saw a post of Michi Me mentioning that her career started when she met BDP in front of Latin Quarter in '88. Do you have any mentions of it? Actually, it wasn't '88, it was '86, '87, because by '87 was when Kristen Scott went to Canada and they worked with Michi Me. Kristen Scott, BDP, went to Canada. It was a show, it was a battle. It was New York versus the whole of Canada. Biz talks about this all the time. And on the bill was BDP, Biz, Cutmaster DC, BDP, Biz, and Cutmaster DC, I believe. Just Dice was supposed to be there, but he got in some troubles and couldn't make it, if I recall. BDP, Biz, Cutmaster DC versus the whole Canada. I can hear Biz right now. We battled everybody. And there was a DJ battle with Cutmaster DC versus some DJs. Then it was like a beatbox battle with Biz versus some people. Then it was MCs battling KRS. And there's some footage of that. And Biz was doing the beatbox and KRS is rapping. And Biz is like, we battled the whole country. So I say all that to say that was in '87, and in that time they worked with Michi Me because they already had a song produced by that point. So I think it was in '87, not '88. I think the Latin Quarters was done with hip hop by '88, if I recall. Yeah, end of '87, 3 people got ended in front of the Latin Quarter, and they said, you know what, enough of rap already. Soup, now we're in OT. This is the new official OT, y'all. It's 10 o'clock. Pimp Barbecue says, do you respect Papoose pen game? Absolutely. Is he the modern day Rakim? It's hard. You can't put anybody's name next to the God, man. I wouldn't consider him an MC on that level, but I respect his pen game. What, Mike Rocks? Do you remember Chiller Theater on Channel 11 with the hand that eat the word chiller? What? Do you know how scary that was? It used to come up, chiller. Do, 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 do. And first he used to put the words there in the beginning of the show. Then at the end, he would take the words back and the hand would go down into the ground, right? Something like that. Hell yeah, I remember that. I loved all those scary movies. Isa Rockwell said Rico Suave. That was my jam, actually. I used to think that record was so funny. It was so over the top that the video used to make me laugh. That is not my worst record. Rod Justice says they used to do the 10 o'clock. Do you know where you're choosing on Chicago? I never knew it was in New York thing. Yes. Yes, it was. I didn't know it was anywhere else. This is news to me now. Yeah. Creature feature, then creature double feature. I remember creature feature. Yes. Um, let's see. Let's see. See some serial killer talk, but I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna save that. What's crazy, I said I was gonna say, what's crazy is BDK stopped killing for 7 years and started again, which is rare for a serial killer. But I think uh he was he started taunting the police. I felt like he felt disrespected and had to come back. Something like that. He felt like he wasn't getting the respect he deserved. I was like, what? Do you have any Big L stories about Big L? Not really. Like I said, I've seen Big L out and about. He was so quiet when I saw him. Like you'd be shocked that this guy with all these rhymes never said nothing. And I saw he was at the Rappers Are in Danger video. He came with OC because Premier cut up. OC is going, Rappers Are in Danger. That's Premier cutting that up. And OC came to the video to say Rappers Are in Danger. And he brought Big L. But Big L was there like an hour and didn't say nothing. And we looked over, was like, oh shit, Big L, what's up? He was standing there and didn't say a word. But I never really chilled with him. KP, how do you think you would fare interviewing Hannibal Lecter? Well, they said don't let Lecter get in your head, right? I would say not well. I would say not well. He would get in my head and probably destroy me. Uchi Coochie is better than Rico Suave. I don't know about that one. Uchi Coochie could be up there for me in disliked songs. I don't like disrespecting people's art though. I'm gonna leave that alone. We're super late, y'all. We way out here. Uh, KP, how many times have you watched Silence of the Lambs? I would say, let's see, it came out in 91, so we're talking 35 years. I've seen pieces of it at least twice to 2 to 3 times a year for 35 years. So we're pushing 100. At least twice a year for 35 years. So that's 70. But I'm saying it's more than 70, maybe less than 100. Sydney Rose says, I never really got the Migos. I didn't really get them either, but it's not my generation, so I understand why I didn't get them. Patrick McLean says, who's going to write for Remy Ma now? I just saw that Papoose came out and said he wrote just about all of Remy's rhymes, which is crazy too. Didn't know that. Uh, Let me jump down a little bit, Uh, my block finger is getting really close, man. I'ma hate to do it. Silence of the Lambs are 7. Like I said, Silence of the Lambs is my favorite show of all time. So there's nothing over it for me. I loved 7, but the whole surprising ending, there's nothing over Silence of the Lambs for me. KP, whatever happened to Tone Loc? He became an actor. What movie he was in that I liked with Robert De Niro? Michael says, I heard on a podcast that Dolly Parton went through a period in the 90s where she whored out and had sex with several black men. I never heard that. I heard some people alluding to that. That doesn't take away anything for me if that's true. I don't know. That would mean she was in her 50s. I don't know if that's true, but that would change nothing about how I feel about her. Tracy said, hit the like. We in OT, fam. Tracy's right. That's for us. Yo, it's 10:12. You are right, Tracy. DJ Green Hornet, what did I miss? A lot, Green Hornet, talking about racism. The rant medallion came out and everything. Rosmel, a lot of ghostwriting of the past is being exposed now. We could do a whole show on ghostwriting too. We've talked about that in the past, but yeah, everybody was full of shit, is basically what it is, Rosmel. But I've been saying this for 3 years on this channel. Anyone hear that Dolly being a whore back in the night? I think Magic hit her a couple of times. That doesn't bother me at all. That's none of my business. Block that nigga, KP. Keep it classy. A lot of people want dude to get blocked. I'm at the very bottom. Let me see if there's any supers that I missed. No, I did not. Um, People at the wake throwing dirt on Dolly's name. This live is interesting. Yeah, man. You're going to get some of that. If that's the worst thing you could find on Dolly Parton, cool. Her body's still warm. People throwing dirt, but hey, um, I love Dolly Parton. Uh, Yo, folks are wilding with all the dumb rumors on Dolly Parton. Come on, fam. I'm not trying to hear none of that. Some people are just negative. I'm not meaning the guy who just brought that up here, but I'm saying in general, there are people that just want to tear other people down. That's just what they do. Even Dolly Parton, let's find something, even if it's not true. I don't know if it's true or not, but I really don't care about her sex life. I don't. That's between her and her husband, who she stayed married to for like 70 years, or not 70, 60 or 50 years, or 60 years, or some crazy number like that. I don't know, man. How does hooking up with Magic make her a whore? I don't know. I mean, he's a married woman, though. I mean, he's a married man and she's a married woman. So that's a little shaky, but still. Let's do it, KP. Favorite Dolly song, Islands in the Streams? Probably 9 to 5, because that was big, and I remember that record a lot being on the radio. Of course, I don't remember the I'll always love you. That would be number one, but I only know the Whitney version. Um, Probably 9 to 5. It's okay, KP. They talk bad about Jesus too. Yeah. I mean, I'm not comparing Dolly Parton to Jesus, but I thought she was just a great woman, man. That's it. I don't know. All right, I'm gonna jump off shortly. I'm at the very bottom. Thank you, Lindell. I appreciate everybody as well. For those that were not here 2 hours ago, um, I may or may not be doing this Friday because I am going to a high school reunion. I may do it from the high school reunion, uh, but if I can't, I will come on Saturday. Because by the time I get home from Coney Island, it's going to be like 11, at least 11, like 10:30, 11. I wouldn't come on at 10:30, even though we on here now, but I'll probably be tired. So probably Saturday, 8 o'clock. Otherwise, I'm going to try to do it from there. I'm going to try. Uh, you could be the nicest person in the world. People will still hate. Yeah, because is even nice is relative. What's nice to one person is mean to another. You can give a person the shirt off your back, and they can be like, "What about your shoes?" You know, Kenny, let us know how many bullies you put in the headlocks. I'm trying to think back, but I only had like one on the basketball court. I only had like maybe one or two people I would consider bullies. Lincoln Rail Splitters, I hated playing them in football. When I was in high school, my man named Ike. Ike was the big football star. Shout out to Ikey from Coney Island. Um, Let's see. All right, I'm out of here. Let me make sure I got everything. Yes. All right, I'll catch you guys hopefully on Friday, maybe on Saturday. Uh, we'll see. This has been a really deep one, y'all. Which is good. I like deep conversation. Um, and like I said, we respect everybody's opinions. But some people on here sound to me so ridiculous that you have to be trolling, which I don't like trolling. And if I think somebody's trolling, I will block them. But otherwise, big up to the Rewind crew. Get yourself a shirt. We are out. All right, peace.